The Emerald Scarab, a Mystery, featuring Elijah Quinn, London, 1907. The hushed grandeur of the British Museum, usually a sanctuary of ancient knowledge, felt oddly hollow, as if the very air held a secret. Each exhibit, a silent witness to centuries past, now seemed to guard a more recent, chilling truth. Elijah Quinn, his long coat a familiar shadow in the cavernous halls, adjusted his spectacles. He was drawn not by the allure of pharaohs, but by the stillness of a room where something precious had vanished, and a life once full of purpose had quietly ceased. The Egyptology wing, usually bustling, was starkly cordoned off. Inside, a stout, red-faced Inspector Davies stood beside a shattered display case. Glass shards glittered like fallen jewels around a velvet pedestal, now empty. More chillingly, beside the splintered case, lay the prone form of Mr. Alistair Abernathy, the head curator, his eyes staring blankly at the ornate ceiling. "Another one, Quinn," Davies grumbled, wiping his brow. "Third time this month for a theft, but this is different. Abernathy was found dead. No signs of struggle. Looks like he just slumped over." Elijah's eyes, however, weren't on the empty pedestal, or even primarily on the deceased. They were on the floor beneath the shattered case, tracing an almost invisible line of fine, dark dust. He knelt, picking up a minuscule fragment of something that looked like petrified wood. "What was taken this time, Inspector?" Elijah asked, holding the fragment carefully. "The Khepri Scarab," Davies sighed. "A legendary emerald scarab said to bring eternal luck. Priceless. And the alarm? Never triggered. Windows? Locked from the inside. Doors? Only opened by the head curator's key. And now the head curator is dead." Elijah straightened, pulling out his notebook. "Who discovered both the theft and Mr. Abernathy?" "Mr. Edgar Finch, the night watchman. Found him this morning at exactly 6 a.m. during his final rounds. Said everything was secure when he passed through at 2 a.m. Abernathy was perfectly fine then, apparently." Elijah noted the times, then glanced around. No one else was in the wing. "Only the cleaning crew hours before. They've all been questioned. Solid alibis." Davies gestured vaguely. "This place is a fortress, Quinn. And now a murder has taken place right under my nose." Elijah found Edgar Finch, a man with tired eyes and a perpetually worried expression, in a small break room, nursing a cup of tea that rattled against the saucer. He was clearly shaken. "Terrible business, Mr. Quinn," Finch mumbled, stirring his tea with a spoon that clinked incessantly. "Poor Mr. Abernathy, and the scarab gone too. I swear, I checked that cabinet at 2 sharp. Saw the scarab there shining under the lamp. Abernathy was with me then, doing his own last-minute checks. He seemed a bit agitated, but perfectly healthy." Elijah watched Finch's hands, noticing a slight tremor. "Mr. Finch, you mentioned checking it at 2 a.m. Did anything seem unusual then?" Finch hesitated, wringing his hands. "Well, just a tiny thing, almost nothing. After Abernathy left, I thought I heard a faint scratching, like a mouse, coming from inside the case. But when I checked, there was nothing. Thought it was just my imagination." Finch's eyes darted around the small room. Sometimes I hear things, hushed voices, even when no one's there." Elijah's hand instinctively went to his whisper notebook. "A scratching? And what did Mr. Abernathy say or do before he left at 2 a.m? "Not much, just a quick check. Then he just said, 'Good. Everything is precisely as it should be, Mr. Finch. I'll take care of the final lockup.' Then he left. He was always so particular about the security." Elijah nodded slowly, his gaze lingering on Finch's worn boots. There was a faint, almost imperceptible film of dark dust clinging to the laces, the same dust he'd seen under the shattered case. "What time did Mr. Abernathy typically finish his rounds?" Elijah asked, checking his pocket watch. 9:15 a.m. He usually left by midnight, but sometimes he stayed late, working on new exhibits, like he was doing last night. He was quite keen on this new papyrus scroll. And the museum doors? Who locks them for the night? Mr. Abernathy always has the master key for the final lock-up. No one else. Elijah sought out Miss Beatrice Croft, Abernathy's assistant. Contrary to Abernathy's earlier statement to Davies, she was not ill. She was in a small, cramped office, meticulously cataloguing old scrolls, her face pale, her hands trembling slightly. "Mr. Quinn," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "This is a terrible shock. Mr. Abernathy, he was a difficult man, but brilliant. Miss Croft, Mr. Abernathy told Inspector Davies you were away ill, yet here you are." Elijah's tone was gentle, inviting honesty. She wrung her hands. I called in ill, yes, but I couldn't stay away. I was worried about him. He'd been so stressed about the new Eye of Ra exhibit, and a particular matter concerning the museum's funds. Funds? Yes. He'd discovered a discrepancy. A significant sum of money had been misplaced. He was going to confront someone about it yesterday. He left a note on his desk, a brief one, just saying, "The time has come to confront the deceiver." I saw it this morning before the police arrived. Her eyes darted nervously to a small locked drawer in Abernathy's desk. Elijah noticed a faint, almost invisible white powder clinging to her dark skirt. It looked like a fine chalk dust. "Did anyone else know about this missing money, Miss Croft?" She hesitated. "Only a few. Mr. Abernathy had confided in me. And I believe the museum's chief accountant, Mr. Philip Crowley, was involved in the audit." Elijah clicked his pocket watch again. 12:47 p.m. He made a mental note of the chalk dust and the locked drawer. Elijah sought out the cleaning crew, a pair of jovial women named Mrs. Plum and Mrs. Higgins, who were finishing their morning rounds in a different wing. "A murder, you say?" "Goodness me," Mrs. Plum exclaimed, clutching her feather duster. "Well, we left the Egyptology wing around 11 p.m. last night, all locked up tight by Mr. Finch, the watchman, just after we finished polishing the display cases." "Did you notice anything unusual about the Emerald Scarab case?" Elijah asked. Mrs. Higgins piped up. "Oh, yes, I was the one who polished it. It was terribly grimy, almost seemed cloudy. I had to use extra chalk dust to get it sparkling." Elijah's eyes widened slightly. Chalk dust, the same type he saw on Miss Croft. "You used chalk dust?" "Yes, sir. It's a secret for glass. Leaves it gleaming, but it's devilishly hard to get it all off. Leaves a fine powder if you're not thorough." "And did you notice any particular smells in the wing?" Mrs. Plum wrinkled her nose. "Well, now that you mention it, just before we left, there was a faint, almost sickly sweet smell, like almonds. I thought it was some new cleaning solution Mr. Abernathy was trying out. He was always tinkering with things." Elijah's mind raced. Almonds. He knew that smell. It was the distinct odor of cyanide. Elijah returned to the Egyptology wing, now empty save for a lone constable guarding the entrance. He knelt again by the shattered display case, ignoring the police tape. He examined the fine line of dark dust more closely. It was not dust at all. It was a trail of minuscule, dried fragments of wood, and the small piece he'd collected earlier, he realized, was not petrified wood, but a sliver of dried, brittle varnish. He looked up at the ceiling, then around the room. There were no visible entry points, no hidden vents, but the scratching sound Finch heard. Elijah moved to a large, ornate Egyptian sarcophagus that stood directly behind where the scarab case had been. He ran his hand over its ancient surface. His fingers brushed against a faint indentation near the base. He pressed. With a soft click, a narrow, almost invisible panel in the wall beside the sarcophagus slid inward, revealing a small, dark passage. It was a secret maintenance tunnel, long forgotten, leading to the museum's underbelly, the kind of place a mouse might scratch in, or a person moving through it. Inside the tunnel, the air was thick with the scent of old wood and dust. On the floor, he saw more of the fine wood varnish flakes, and then, at his feet, almost missed in the gloom, a small, silver-plated object, a pocket watch, identical to Mr. Finch's, but shattered, its hands frozen at precisely 3 a.m. Elijah made his way to Mr. Philip Crowley's office. The chief accountant was a nervous man, meticulously arranging ledgers on his desk. "Mr. Crowley," Elijah began, his voice calm, "I understand Mr. Abernathy was investigating some financial discrepancies." Crowley flinched, his fingers tightening on a ledger. "Discrepancies. I assure you, my books are impeccable." Miss Croft indicated Mr. Abernathy was planning to confront someone, and she saw a note that read, "The time has come to confront the deceiver." That note was found in Abernathy's desk, which you had access to this morning, didn't you, Mr. Crowley, overseeing the financial records? Crowley stammered. I was merely checking the accounts, as usual." "Mr. Abernathy was poisoned, Mr. Crowley. The smell of bitter almonds was noted by the cleaning staff, and his death occurred sometime between 2 a.m. when Mr. Finch last saw him alive, and 6 a.m. when he was discovered. His own watch stopped at 3 a.m. Elijah then pulled out the shattered watch. This watch was found in a secret passage behind the scarab case. Its hands are frozen at 3 a.m. Crowley's eyes darted to the watch, then back to Elijah, panic rising. "The Kipri scarab," Elijah continued, "was on a varnished wooden base. Mr. Finch heard scratching from inside the case around 2 a.m, but the scarab itself is quite small. It wasn't the scarab being removed that caused the scratching, was it? It was the varnished base being scraped as it was slipped into the secret passage." Crowley swallowed, his face ashen. "You, Mr. Crowley, are the deceiver Mr. Abernathy planned to confront. You knew about the secret passage, a hidden means to access the back of the display case. You were there at 2 a.m, slipping into the passage, attempting to steal the scarab's varnished base, which secretly contained the misplaced funds he was looking for. Abernathy must have followed you or stumbled upon you. He saw you removing the base, the secret compartment exposed. He would have discovered your theft. He must have recognized you in the dim light of the passage. You panicked, Mr. Crowley. You killed him to silence him, to keep your financial deception hidden." "How?" Crowley whispered, almost defeated. "You crushed a small capsule of cyanide into his teacup, which he often kept nearby during his late-night checks. The cleaning crew noted a faint almond smell. You placed the scarab on the table, a decoy, and then shattered the case to make it appear as if the scarab itself was stolen, distracting from the true target, the base containing the hidden money, which you then took through the passage. Your own watch broke in the struggle, or your haste to escape through the tunnel at 3 a.m, creating a precise timestamp of your presence and the murder." Crowley slumped forward, the ledger falling from his grasp. He had meticulously tracked every penny, but he had failed to track the unforgiving passage of time. Outside, the distant chime of Big Ben struck 2 o'clock. Mr. Philip Crowley, the meticulous accountant, confessed to the murder of Alastair Abernathy and the theft of the Emerald Scarab's false base, which indeed contained a substantial sum of embezzled museum funds. The Khepri Scarab, now separated from its crucial base, was recovered from a hidden corner of Crowley's office. Secrets, Elijah wrote in his notebook, are like ancient artifacts. Sometimes their true value is not in what is displayed, but in what lies hidden beneath. And time, like a persistent scholar, will always decipher the truth. He folded his coat, returned the notebook to his pocket, and stepped back into the gas-lit street, the quiet hum of London carrying him toward the next untold story.